She lived in a tiny one-room apartment in the heart of a crowded city, juggling two part-time jobs just to afford rent and groceries. Her husband had walked out on them years ago, and since then, every burden of survival had fallen squarely on her shoulders. Her 10-year-old daughter, Noor, was the light of her life, bright, kind, and full of dreams. But when Noor collapsed at school and was rushed to the hospital, Rukhsana was given devastating news. Her daughter had a serious kidney disorder that required long-term treatment and medication they couldn't possibly afford. Rukhsana tried everything: government hospitals, charity clinics, even knocking on the doors of people she once called friends. But no one stepped up to help. Every night, she came home exhausted, her arms aching from cleaning offices and washing dishes, only to break down in silence as Noor lay beside her, unaware of how dire things really were. One afternoon, after getting rejected by yet another hospital for not having the funds, Rukhsana sat outside crying quietly. That's when a janitor at the hospital named Amir noticed her. He didn't know her personally, but had seen her multiple times over the past weeks. Moved by the quiet pain on her face, he approached and gently asked if everything was okay. Reluctantly, she shared her story. Amir didn't have much. He lived in staff quarters and barely earned enough himself. But something about her despair struck a chord. The next day, Amir went to his supervisor and asked if he could take extra shifts, night duty, weekends, anything. He even sold his old motorbike to raise funds. Little by little, he started paying Noor's medical bills without ever telling Rukhsana. When she found out, she was stunned. Why would a complete stranger sacrifice so much for them? Amir simply smiled and said, "Because if it were my child, I would want someone to do the same." Over time, Noor's condition improved. She began treatment and started responding well to the medication. With renewed energy, Rukhsana found slightly better work and started saving, slowly regaining control of her life. But the story didn't end there. When Noor returned to school months later, she excelled in her studies, always remembering the man who saved her life. She would often visit Amir and read to him during his breaks. Years later, when she graduated with honors and won a scholarship to study medicine, she invited only one guest to the ceremony besides her mother, Amir, the janitor who had once been her hero. As she walked onto the stage, she looked at him and smiled through tears. Noor had made a promise to herself. She would become a doctor, not just to treat people, but to save lives the way Amir had saved hers.